Yeah, so hello everyone. Nice to be here. I'm working in a global team across regions and brands on the new tech driven opportunity that are consumer facing. So you'll hear more in a few minutes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, to be here. It's not that often that we open kind of a kitchen and ask, how did you make this recipe? So we're going to try to do this. Hopefully, it's going to be interesting for you all watching. What we would like to offer you is like just a quick introduction on Riot Games and League of Legends. So we are sure that you're not in the context. I'm going to do this as I do sometime. Then I'm going to pass the ball to Nazar, or pass the mouse or the keyboards to Nazar, who will give us a very interesting insight about how did he convince some people at Nestlé to do something like that. Then we're going to move with Georg on what is this partnership about and what is the explanation of how we did it and the execution of the partnership. And then if we have a bit of time left, I'm going to mention something that a lot of people are complaining about at the moment, which is COVID-19, and just to share with you what happened, how we deal with it, and how this partnership went through this in a glory. So first few words about Riot Games. So Riot Games is a game publisher. So we develop and publish games. For the last 10 years, we were called Riot Games for a weird reason because we only have one game called League of Legends. In the last few weeks, we started to publish additional games. So we are a publisher, and at the core of the recipe of League of Legends, there's this idea that this game could be played like a sports with friends in competition, and the highest level of competition for pro players. So Riot Games has been creating an ecosystem that we strive to make as sustainable as possible for the players, for the teams, for the owners, and create a platform for brands to express themselves. So that's what we can see on the screen, which is, for example, one of the events we did last year in Athens. And for this ecosystem, we have creating a series of layers. So at a global level, we have three global tournaments: the Mid-Season Invitational, the World Championship, and the All-Star Weekend. In the region of the world, we are truly global sports in the sense that we have 12 different regions with a dedicated league for professional teams to compete on a weekly basis. So today we're going to talk about the equivalent of the Champions League. So the League of Legends European Championship, the LEC, is the tournament and the league that plays 24 weeks per year to celebrate and find the best teams of Europe to go and represent the region in the global events. And just for you to know, this is a path to pro for us that we try to build. So we also initiated in Europe in particular 14 national leagues that enable us to create kind of a lab for new talents. So that's kind of like what we stand for. We build this platform for a player to discover the game, play it with friends, start to compete once a month with something we call Clash, and then get a strive to start to go pro and compete at the highest level, first at the national level, and then to conquer the world. So that's what we do. And for that, we are looking for partners to help us broadcast like Twitch, YouTube, partners to help us connect with the local, you know, culture that we have in Europe. We have 6 different languages for the show, and also brands who want to support and enable us to create great experience for fans. So in this case, we work with Lagardère Sport or agency. I know they changed name today, but I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say the name. So let's call it Lagardère for now. And they help us connect with brands all over the world who wants to be engaged with our audience. Just to give you an idea, if you talk about the millennials and the centennials, we have the same amount of average viewers than most of the like elite competition in Europe. We actually represent the third biggest competition in Europe after Champions League and Europa League, but we are bigger than EuroLeague, Rugby Championship, and most of the tennis Grand Slam. Just to give you an idea of the size of this competition. So it's not on TV, but it's still very big. So we introduced our game and our competition and our platform to brands, and we met the team from Nestle. And that's probably the good time for me to pass the ball to Nazar and explain us what happened, maybe before and after we met to discuss this project.
Alban, thank you very much, and hello to everyone once more. I would like to start with 2 points. Why a company like Nestle, if ever, is thinking about esports and gaming in general. I think that's, as always, starts from a personal story. It's not that the company, is an ephemeral body that suddenly starts to think as one in certain direction, but it starts from passionate individuals. And personally, I believe in two things. One is that gaming is inherent to human nature. We were in the lobby waiting for our part, and I heard lots of adjectives like, I love competition. I like this great spirit. It's about interaction with people. And gaming, if you look back at thousands of years, was always with us on this earth. So what can be better than gaming to engage with audiences and to engage with people all over the world, especially now when new technologies allow us to be together wherever we are located. The second reason, as I said, is also very personal. From childhood, I wanted to be a motorcycle and Formula One racer, but the entry ticket is very, very expensive. And you cannot compete if you don't have parents as billionaires. Now, thanks to esports or, the console or the PC, you can play it all the time. And if you're really good, you can become a world champion with minimum barriers. And that's what is great about the space of generally esports and gaming, that anybody has almost equal chances to succeed if you truly want to. So a company like ours that wants to bring value to consumers, that have fantastic brands like KitKat, and especially Georg will talk about, the break and the positioning, that's almost a natural fit. Now, if you think it was easy and Nazar came to people and said, hey, that's my childhood situation and we have a great brand, let's do something together, that was not the case. I would like to share with you a few situations to explain how, or a few facts, how difficult or how not straightforward it was. Just to give you a feel, before we got to speak with Georg, who had to move to another department, it took almost 2 years, and speaking to more than 300 people inside the organization to get the first pilot. It took me also at least, I was calculating 15 different decks with, I don't know how many facts and the sizing of the market to persuade people that we need to start. And the most funny question I got when we were saying, hey, we have a chance to be one of the first movers into the space was, okay, great. Can you show me who else did it? And that was kind of crazy. You're asking, we can be the first, and people ask you, show me who else did it, etc., etc. So I think through the pain, through lots of no's, at the end, what it took me and some other people who were with me on the journey is to get somebody you trust and who trusts you at the right time, in the right position to say, okay, I'm with you, I trust you, and I'm also a very open-minded person, and I would like to experiment. For sure, we as a company, we need to show return on investment, we need to show some KPIs, but as said, I'm very lucky as a person to have Georg, a super open-minded and I would say like-minded friend who happened to be on the KitKat EMEA since 6 months or a bit more now, who said, yes, let's experiment. So I think just to summarize, you guys and ladies are in a fantastic area that many people or senior managers who are above 50 years and over do not understand. So there is a great barrier of just explaining what it is. It's not just one gamer sitting at home being 10 years old or less playing the game. It's much more than this. It's about human nature, it's about this feel of winning, is about competitive spirit and interaction with people with no barriers. And second, if you're from a company who is trying or you're an individual driving the agenda, please don't be discouraged from all the no's and the barriers and stupid questions you encounter on your way, because eventually you could make it happen. And I think at this stage, I would like to hand over to Georg and Alban back to present what has been done. And also, I want to apologize because I would be leaving soon for a next meeting and won't be able to be with you in the Q&A session. But if you want, please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or elsewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nazar. I think,
Thank you, Nazar.
being one of the people that reach out to brands sometime and have this conversation, and sometimes we receive some no's, as you mentioned. It's kind of like reassuring to hear that after our meeting, there's some more, and that you need to be equipped to go through all this, because not only the passion, but you find the right rationale to help everyone in this journey. So Georg, that's where you kick in. You receive a call from Nazar. He has these crazy ideas. You're looking for your next marketing plan. What happened?
Yeah, I think it was actually more like a beer, or even I'm not sure if it was vodka, but let's say it was a beer at a nice occasion. So the thing is, yeah, as Nazar said, I think so. Nestlé is a great company, but it is also a company that is, I would say, is more than 150 years old. So things move a bit slower, also on the one side because of the size, and I think also because on the other side, we are maybe not as agile and as kind of flexible as some of the other companies and some of the partners that we had discussions with and that we have here in the audience now. But if I look a bit then on the journey itself, so yes, Nazar and myself knew each other from before. I then took a new role as the marketing manager in Zone EMEA, and we stayed in touch. And esports always was top of my mind, and gaming because of the impact it has, because of the growing potential it has, and to be completely honest, also to have an opportunity of being a first mover, if I may say, at least within our company. Certainly not in the industry, but within our company, we were basically first movers in going in that direction. Now, to take a bit of a look at the big picture behind, I think everybody knows KitKat, and KitKat has a very high brand awareness, and this really is liked and loved throughout demographics and all over the world. However, we constantly need to make sure that we stay relevant also for younger generations, and in particular for millennials and Gen Z as well. So that was a first overall big picture and strategy that we thought of behind. And then the next step was to say, okay, what can we do to stay relevant as a brand? And then looked at different options. And obviously, as I said before, gaming and esports was top of mind for me there as well. So we then really started to look what could be different ways to enter, different kind of game formats, starting from ego shooters to obviously more regular card games and kind of mobile games, etc., to really then understand what is the best fit for us on the one side as a brand, and also on the other side as a company, because as a company, we did not want to be involved too much with too aggressive or too violent games. And then on the other side, we have a strict policy of not communicating to kids and children. So that was also another factor here. Then moving forward in the journey was a bit, I also had the opportunity then to go to the League of Legends Worlds in Paris, where Alban and myself met for the first time. I still remember the impressive, the impressions there. It was mind-blowing, to be honest. And I think the picture that we have on screen
that's not even giving it just. That's a good start.
Exactly, that's a good start.
Good choice.
The picture I think we have on screen is not even giving it justice, because it like the event by itself, there's so much energy and nature, and that was the moment where I thought, okay, we really need to do this. And there was for me the tipping point to say, okay, we need to run this pilot, and then we need to fight those battles internally with Nazar and also my boss and our vice president, who are very open-minded, and we as a team or as a task force then decided, okay, we need to make it happen. So we then decided for a pilot. Now, for this pilot, as I said, we looked at different options, and then looked also who to work with, and had the opportunity to talk with a lot of very interesting and wonderful companies and agencies. But ultimately, we had to make a decision, and then decided that Lagardère Plus was for us the one that had the most promising proposal, which was around every champ needs a break. Now, obviously, there's a bit of a wordplay, because the champ, of course, within League of Legends are the characters in the game, and then on the other side, also our slogan as KitKat is "Have a break, have a KitKat." So that's a beautiful fusion of both of them on the one side, and on the other side, also I think is something where there's a natural fit of KitKat to gaming and also to esports, as what the brand is about is really to, having a smile in your break, getting a fresh perspective, and taking a step back and get a fresh perspective, as I said. And with that, then we started.
Do you want to play the video just to give a sense of it?
Yes, exactly. I just wanted to say that. With that, I think the video right now, the first one, is a good link, so that you can get some excitement about what we did.
Honor, duty, glory. These are the principles that define us. Top, jungle, mid, bot, or support. Together, we are all summoners.
Cut! Summoners don't even exist anymore.
Dynasties of the...
Cut!
In the alleys, the kings of...
Dude, what's going on with you today? Have a break. Have a KitKat.
We are EU, and this is the LEC.
Thanks for that. So what we worked on was basically on the one side, really linking it strongly to League of Legends and also to the European Championship to have a strong fit here between the brand and also our partners. And on the other side, also with Trevor, who I think a few of you would also have recognized, to really to have this really strong integration and not just be a brand who slaps their logo on top of something to be part of that. So that was one element, and we combined that together with a few other ones. So we also created memes for our social media channels that we posted weekly. We shot several more videos that also then we released one after the other, and also several other kind of activation points where unfortunately then at some point we had this event or how should I phrase it, where we had COVID coming in, which kind of then disrupted a bit our thinking and our plans, and we had to adapt. And that's something I think where then also is probably, Alban, if you want to say some words, or if you want to go to the second video of that.
So just before we move to that, I saw the first question on the chat, and the question is basically, is it a recruitment play, or is it a way for you to expand with the existing customer?
Yeah, very good question. So for us, as we have consumers across all ages, it is on the one side, yes, a recruitment plan to kind of bring in new consumers, although everybody basically knows KitKat already, and pretty much everybody also likes KitKat. And it's also, if we look at snacking as a category, it's a category where people also like diversity and variety. So people would sometimes eat a KitKat, some other times eat a different chocolate bar, and that's perfectly fine. But then that even more brings the challenge to us as a brand to stay relevant and make a connection with the community, and also in a credible way. So yes, in a way it's a recruitment, but also in another way I would say it maybe even more so about staying relevant and also having a competitive edge to a certain extent where it is possible.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And keep asking the question if you have any. I think just one word to this collaboration, which I think is funny, is we really believe that brands should not intrude the show. Like the story is like, if you come to a football stadium, you're not here to watch banners, you come to watch a football. And if a brand wants to be part of it, you better bring champagne. That's kind of like a say that we have for sponsorship, I think. And I think in this case, we always wanted for LEC not to interrupt the show, but actually to capture moments that are relevant to the brands and to the audience. When we started this thinking about finding the moments that could be relevant for brands, we always had this idea like the break, when something breaks. The peripherals doesn't work, the PC doesn't work, something doesn't work. Most of the time, connection doesn't work. And then there's a pause. There's a pause in the game, and we have to fill the gap. And of course, it would have been very difficult to imagine like a computer brands or a monitor brands to say, you know what, this thing that just broke, this is mine, which is a bit difficult to explain as a brand that looks for performance. But for KitKat, it was so obvious. So we had to take this to another level. Not only now, KitKat is celebrating the breaks when they happen, but also we took in the face the biggest outbreak possible with COVID-19. So one of the big impact for us, as everybody's impacted, the family, the fans, the players, with a lot of fear. First thing we had to do was to cancel the show. And we had to cancel the show last minute because one of the production crew was infected. We had to also cancel the final, which is one of the pictures you see here, is like this kind of bigger than life events. So what we did is that we did an event for the first time in 7 years remotely. So the players were playing from home in the gaming house from each of the team, like Rogue, what we heard a little bit earlier. And the casters were playing at home because we cannot get the casters together to avoid infection. So to start the show and express how much we cared about continuing the show, at the same time recognizing that it would be a show like never before, we had an opening ceremony that is exactly the second video that we're going to show now. So you understand the gravity it had for us, but also we're going to discuss after that how KitKat reacted to celebrate this for us.
Days gone, I won't waste another one. All that darkness, yeah. won't set me back again.
It wasn't supposed to be this way. We were supposed to be in Budapest. We were supposed to be able to share these moments and memories together in person. This is Berlin, Germany, home of the LEC, my home, and for the first time ever, a home spring split final. Over the past few months, a lot has happened, and I miss seeing all of you in the studio, in the stadium, and out and about here in the city. But if I've learned one thing over the last few weeks, it's that the drive and the determination of our communities and countries will not be broken. We will rise above these troubled times together. True champions overcome adversity and adapt to the new circumstances. Today, we celebrate them, the best teams in League of Legends. This is the LEC, and
We are EU. We are EU. That's it. Yeah, that was an emotional moment for us because not being able to welcome our fans, celebrate the winners, being able to also connect with the fans physically, it's a great platform for our partners like KitKat. So I just want to say, let's Georg talk a little bit about how they reacted to this, how they created something else that was not planned, just to bring a bit back something to the fans.
Yeah, thanks, Alban, and completely agree. I mean, it gives you shivers when you see a well-made video, and then also the thinking that you have behind that. So for us, obviously, it was also disappointing and a bit sad that the event got cancelled. We were really looking forward to that, but completely in line with the decision, safety first. That's no question about that, and we fully supported that. Then we nevertheless needed to come up with a way to still finish the activation strong. We still wanted to have this build up gradually of the excitement that we created and have a really strong impact in Budapest, where then we said, okay, how do we do that differently? And then decided, let's have an online activation. So we then worked on a social media raffle where we made it really easy for people to participate, basically just to like or comment and kind of make a comment to our post, to participate in a social media raffle where we gave away 1 million Riot points and 350 bundles of champions and skins across all of our zone, meaning Europe, Middle East, North Africa. And we saw tremendous results, like really strong impact across all countries. A lot of activation, a lot of participation, and really was then for us where we said, okay, we managed to finish strong nevertheless, and also is what then we saw in the results at the end of the day, which is maybe the last point then to bring that together for us, is that when we looked at the overall activation, we had a brand lift study, we had media value calculations, and a lot of different KPIs, and honestly, each and every one of those actually outperformed our expectations. So that for us, we had very strong results. We had a great feedback from the community, great partnership with Lagardère Plus and with Riot. So it was really a lot of fun to work on that with our external and internal stakeholders. And for us, then basically the conclusion that, okay, with these kind of results, with these kind of experiences and learnings that we had, we are fit to move on and excited to take on the future and see what else we can do in esports and gaming in particular.
Glad to hear that. Likewise, it was a great experience working with you guys. I would just want to close on this. I think that's beautiful to hear this experience. Thanks for sharing, Georg and Nazar, for the way you achieved that. I think from a Riot point of view, this is really a privilege to be able to work with such a brand. We try to build a platform that's sustainable for players, for owners, for fans, and try not to interrupt, but try to bring value back to them. That's a good example of a platform where we manage not only to create a connection with the fans watching at home, but actually go deep at the heart of the players. Because one of the big differences compared to traditional sports is that all our fans are players. And I can tell that because as a rugby guy, I'm way too old, way too heavy now to play rugby, so I have to watch, I think that's a big difference that we see in esports, is that at the core, we have this connection with the players at the core. And we can build this platform as a publisher, but not only rely on the exposure, on the engagement from the show, but actually connect them to what they love to do, which is playing too. So the example of giving back some in-game content, we also just announced today that we're going to be able to position the brand inside the game with this kind of like new type of banners. So we are building this new platform, and we hope to get more brands to join us at Riot with the teams, with the streamers, building this ecosystem that, you know, rely on the passion of the fans. So thank you all for your time. Thank you, Georg. Thank you, Nazar, for joining this one. And look forward to see you all in game or at the events very soon.